Yes, former Senator Bob Klitzkie. We're talking about Bill 491-31. Of course, it's called the Bucks for Buses, introduced by Senator Chris Duenas. Had a public hearing. If those of you didn't have an opportunity to see that on TV, it wasn't on TV. That was on Monday. And Bob, you testified basically on written testimony. It was submitted, and if it was submitted legislative record, you can access that, public access to that testimony. You can do that, or you can give me a call. I can email that to you as well. But we're talking about annual leave, and of course there is no mechanism in order to use it. I found that rude awakening of that on the 27th when I tried to take leave and submitted my leave just like everybody else, same form. And the executive director of the legislature says, Senator, I can't sign off on this. I said, why? Well, I'm subordinate to you. You were my boss, like all the other 14. Well, the speaker is not a subordinate to you, and you're equal footing. And so there was no mechanism in order to use it. So again, as a result of that, you can't use it. At the end of the term, it's the fastest payout I've ever seen in the government, legislative side. Once your term is completed, that check is waiting for you at the door as you walk out.
There's really no reason, no reason whatsoever to have this leave mechanism on the books for senators. At the beginning of the current legislature, I did a Freedom of Information Act request dealing with leave from the 30th Guam legislature. Every single one of the 15 cashed in 320 hours worth of annual leave, because that's the cap. That's the cap, yeah. Every single one of them. So I guess everybody was always there for every public hearing, for every session. Of course, they weren't.
Yeah, and you know, and when I look at that as well, because I mean, we've heard talk about, I mean, people do get sick regardless of what branch of government. People who are sick, and it happens. It has happened to us since we served. People who are away for a week or two or even a month. And what's kind of upsetting, because if the average worker out there can exhaust their sick leave, they have to resort to leave sharing. Yeah. And you don't have that mechanism in the legislature. You could be out, like you said, you could be sworn in and not come into work. You could be sick or not. Yeah. Sit down and watch TV, and then on your way out, you might lose because you never come to work. But on your way out, they give you a check for cash out on your leave.
That's right. Yeah, it's another boondoggle. You take that and the discovered salary salary increase. Even let's just assume that it is legal. It's not, but let's assume. So that's $5,000 there, a little $5,500, and the annual leave lump sum comes up to around $9. That's 14. That's around $20,000 in 2 years times 15, at a time when nobody else is getting salary increases. We're talking, you know, about reducing firemen's compensation.
Yeah,
we're talking about having some really, really rough times ahead of us.
Can't find money for buses.
Can't find money for buses, but the speaker is offended when someone suggests that, you know, they've been saying too often that the legislature should trim her budget, should trim their budget. She took offense to that.
Yeah. Well, shame on you. You've done that. This is the second time you've done that.
I have. Yeah.
Let's go to Joe from Chico. Joe, welcome to the buzz. Buenas.
Hello.
Joe.
Yes.
Buenas.
You know, I have a question there for Mr. Klitzkie. You were a senator, right, at one time?
I was.
Yeah. Speak up, please, Joe.
Talking about cutting the salaries for the senators, right? So how come when you were a senator, how come you didn't cut your salary and just give it back to the general fund? Now that these others are running, you want to bring that up and do that. You know, how much do you think, or how much do you feel a senator should earn as a salary? Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I think we can both answer this question here. I think it's not a matter of the cutting. I think it's the matter of the time that they took that raise, because I don't think it would be a subject of even a discussion if they kept it at the 55. But there's provision. We got to remember that that provision was put in there. Even I think you had already quit serving already. I was still serving, I think, when that was in there. We just did not implement it.
Well, actually, we couldn't have implemented it if we had followed the law.
The law,
but this was a discovery in the 30th Guam legislature. But to address Joe's question, of course, we did cut our salaries. We cut our salaries from $55,000 down to $40,000.
That's right. That's right.
You do the math on that. That comes out to about the same as going from 60 down to 55. So we did cut our salaries. I was able to burn up all my leave. What I did, Jess, was I waited till like the 4th payday, and then I signed leave for the first 4 days of the session. So technically, I was on leave the day that I was sworn in. It shows you kind of the silliness of the system. So I burned up all my leave. I didn't get any lump sum leave at the end. I sponsored legislation called the Every Child Fund. The Every Child Fund would allow the Director of Education to spend up to $5,000 on small projects, small maintenance projects. And I donated over $2,000 to that fund. So,
and actually, in the end of your term, you also, because we passed the law, of course, that transferred all your lapse funds over to, I think, the Department of Education. Right?
I saved. I only used 30% of my budget during the time that we were in the majority. So the other 70% was appropriated to various other worthy causes. And
I mean, if I remember correctly, you had the biggest staff, I think, the tallest, I think it is, right?
The tallest senator.
Anyway, hey, we're going to take a quick break again, and we'll be back with former Senator Bob Klitzkie.